I'm actually getting ahead of myself, but DC basically is they're trying to get into a groove where they're just as competitive with Marvel, and it may not be continuity wise, but it's more so in a way of well, I would say it's more so in a way of how good the content they put out is. So Marvel, usually when it's live action, we're all looking forward to the storyline being, continued, and like even these days, like cameos that we never thought we would ever see, we're finally seeing them on the big screen. So those are things that a lot of people like, that they're really like excited and passionate about. But I think DC is getting into a realm where hopefully they're just hiring directors who are passionate about really good stories. And I truly think that if you tap into that, then they're going to be just as competitive, if not more competitive, than Marvel is at Disney right now. Because when you see things, when you see how they're opening things up, they've made their mistakes. Don't get me wrong, but the confidence that they're putting in their directors, I feel like it's going to pay off in the future more so than Marvel having a plan and then taking a guy like Sam Raimi and being like, yeah, you're great and we love you, but can you do this? You know what I mean? Like, they're not putting the reins on directors. So when DC started getting into streaming, I was super excited because personally, I think the Marvel shows are awesome. They're great and they're cozy and they're everything. I enjoy them. But DC, this is the realm for this is the time for all the long movies that DC has ever made. People say too long or like they needed more time, blah blah blah. And a 7-hour movie, that is more than enough time to flesh out everything that they would need to do to really get some good stories off the ground that don't need continuity to carry them. So when I heard they were getting streaming, I was excited, and when I heard who was signing on, I was even more excited because not besides James Gunn and Suicide Squad, DC is starting off their own other separate universe with Batman, and it's with Matt Reeves. Matt Reeves, if you don't know him, he made Cloverfield. He made one. Okay, so it's hard to make a consistent trilogy, and here you go. Matt Reeves made that new Planet of the Apes trilogy. Yeah. That one. All three of those movies are good. The only shaky one is the third one. But it's so hard in Hollywood to make three good, like to make a consistent trilogy. You can really only count them all on my hand. Seriously, the number is small. So when I heard he was signing on, and that it's the same treatment, like take off the reins, let him do what he wants to do, and then we saw the trailer for the Batman. I just went crazy. I mean. I'd make a whole other video talking about that right now, and I will, trust me. But when I just see what they're getting into, it makes you excited. You know what I mean? So, you got guys like Matt Reeves signed on for Batman, and he's also doing GCPD. He's also doing a Catwoman show and a Penguin show, and with him and J.J. Abrams and Bruce Timm, who, if you ever watched Batman the Animated Series as a child, is one of the best. It's actually one of the best animated shows that the West has to offer, compared to the millions of great written, fantastically written anime that's written over in the East. Batman the Animated Series is one of the only shows in the West that can hold up to all the anime that's made overseas, because it's got everything. So him, Bruce Timm, J.J. Abrams, and Matt Reeves are rebooting the animated series. So like they're really like getting into it. And not only this time, the animated series is gonna be rated R, and then all the spin-off stuff that's live action is from the Batman universe. So I'm like, man, like if DC can really pull this off, they're gonna have shows that are way more competitive than Marvel, because so far from I've noticed, the Marvel shows lean on aesthetic, they lean on cameos, and they lean on awesome return to form costumes, and that is great. And honestly, what's so good is the actors that they hire are so good at like ad-libbing and acting that I feel like they add so much to dry scripts that we really can't even tell. But it's not a knock on Marvel. That they're supposed to hire people that they feel confident in and whatnot, that they feel like can elevate things. You want that. You don't want to have You don't want to have a situation where, like, it's like nothing's helping itself. Like, oh, the script's got to help the actors, and the actors got to help this. Blah, 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 blah. Like, you want them to help itself, but that's kind of what they lean towards. And now with DC, where I know they've been scrutinized for, oh, this could have been longer, or this was too, or I'm sorry, like this could be longer, or this is too short, or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, they always have a problem with, like, the length, or where they can really flesh the story out, or how about this, where it's appropriate to flesh the story out at, like Batman vs Superman. Zack Snyder, he's a great director and all, but you can't just kill off Superman, and he hadn't even had a second solo film yet. Like, you didn't earn it. You know how many comics and stuff happened to Superman before they killed him off? Like, it was a long time. The death of Superman, like, they had to earn it. They truly had to earn it. And I think before a lot of people got to really get to know the Superman, because, let's be honest, Man of Steel, for as much action as it is a glorified origin film. You can damn near argue he's not even Superman in that movie. Like, he levels a city. Like, he 9/11's the entire metropolis. The same Superman that adores Metropolis and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's a lot, and that's not on the character. It's on the guy who was making them. You know what I mean? But when you know that they have a chance to put this on streaming, you understand that they have a chance now to differentiate what stories are appropriate to put on the big screen to be for 2 hours and 30 minutes, and the ones that just need an 8-hour movie, that just need an 8-hour runtime. Origin stories, not origin stories, but like character, like, what do they call these? Character deep dives. I'm trying to think of the actual word. It's like case studies on people like Selena Kyle as Catwoman and Oswald Cobblepot as the Penguin. Those need 8 hours. I can see that being 8-hour shows, because you have shows like Big Little Lies, where Zoe Kravitz was big on HBO and stuff like that, or Mad Men, or what's the other show? I just started watching it, The Sopranos. Like, those shows are meant for being hour-long shows. Those shows, what I'm trying to explain is, like, those shows are like 55 minutes. And when you watch it, it's so much story and stuff going on in there that, like, in a movie where, like, you get to the hour 55-minute point, you're like, damn, like, oh, okay, we've gotten a lot done. We've solved a lot of problems. But, like, in streaming shows, no. Like, the hour is just, it's just the first hour is just the brink of it. This is just how we're getting into it. And honestly, I hope that they can get a big enough budget to really make these shows pop and to make them look as good as they look on the big screen, because I can say that is one thing where Marvel has really knocked it out of the park, and Star Wars has knocked it out of the park, because their Disney Plus counterpart shows look just as good as the movie. It's like watching the actual movies, you know what I mean? And they got the proof, because pretty much after every Disney Plus show, after an episode, if it's not suggesting the next episode at the end of the streaming show, it's suggesting a movie. Showing the movie, same quality. So that's what I'm really hoping that they can tap into with streaming, and I really feel like if they do this, they're going to be so much ahead of the game. Everybody's going to look up and not even know what happened. Like, it's going to be wild.